Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's finally time. We're going to get to work on my bucket list tractor, 1949 Farmall H. And man, this is going to be a project, but it's going to be a labor of love. I've had one other Farmall H in my life, which I had to give up years ago because of family priorities. Never had that one running, and that's happened a number of times over the years with a number of tractors and machines. You know, when family priorities call, sometimes you have to get rid of stuff. Well, this one's staying, and the main reason why is my granddaughters have affectionately named it the Red Pepper. I've been on the hunt for quite a while for new front rims for this thing. I mean, they're out there, but shipping costs are just too prohibitive. And most of them are up north or in the Midwest or back east. And, you know, to ship them here is just too cost prohibitive. My primary reason for wanting to replace these is, you can see somebody used the manual method to dismount tires, who knows when, and really bent the heck out of the beads on this thing. But those can be straightened. I'm going to straighten them. And I've got new front tires to mount on these rims. And I just need to come up with some tubes. So the plan is to get those rims mounted back on the front of this thing. I'm just going to move it on the rims because I'm not going but a few feet. And then I'll deal with the tire situation later. So I'll get the rims mounted back on the front. I've got to swap out these woefully rotten rear tires for these guys right here. Unfortunately, these got left out in the sun for decades. And even though they're brand new, there is weather checking. One's got a pretty rough spot on it because it sat in the dirt for too long on one side. But these are going to be serviceable as is. So I've got to get these old rotten things off, get those other ones mounted onto here, because we've got to get this thing drug into the shop. But before we do that, I've got to clear a hole. This won't be too hard, though. I've got some cleaning and reorganizing to do. All this stuff has occupied different spots in the shop before, because if you'll recall, when I did the head gasket on the Ford 8N a 3 years ago, it sat right where all this junk sits right now. So I've got to get this stuff relocated and this area cleaned up, because this is where the H is going to live for a while. Since this is going to be a long-term project, I'm not going to bore you with video after video after video in series working on this thing, because you'll all leave. Nor am I going to make it so in-depth. I mean, if you want in-depth restoration videos on a Farmall H or Farmall M, you got to go watch Kenny Kizzle at the Rusty Nuts Ranch or Squatch 253, because both of those guys did ground-up restorations on Farmall H's and created real beautiful tractors. This is going to be a mechanical refurbishment, so I can turn it into a runner and use it for tractor shows and parades, that kind of thing. It's really easy to have 10 grand wrapped up into one of these tractors by the time you do all the mechanic work and paint, and then you're gonna have a $3,500 tractor when you're all done with 10 grand invested. I'm not doing that. This is just a runner for me, my bucket list tractor, so I can take it in parades, tractor rides. So that's the plan for this. So I'm going to get to work cleaning up that spot where this thing is going to go. And then we'll get the wheels mounted back on the front. We'll hook up with the Ford 8N and start moving this thing around. So stick around. Okay, I've got a sufficient hole created to house the H. I got the tape measure out, measured the tractor, and then measured the spot and with the truck in place. And it's going to be a little tight, but there'll be room to work. And of course, during the day, when I need a little elbow room, I'll just back the Ram out of the shop, and that'll give me plenty of space. And then when I'm done for the day, I'll tidy things up and pull the Ram back in. But we've got a hole created. Well, here's the first sheet metal repair we're going to have to do after we do some mechanical stuff. This got, this for the air breather. For some reason, they decided to enlarge this hole. And then we've got a big old crack here. And gobs and gobs of brushed on paint. Did I work on this before? My old pal Webb gave me this target to put on the hood of the Farmall here, and which is where it's going to remain forever. Unfortunately, Webb passed away recently. We all kind of knew it was coming. He'd suffered from a debilitating illness for a long time, and it finally caught up with him. And I'm deeply saddened. And so is my brother. He was my brother's age. They were best friends for a long time, were roommates for a long time. Well, Webb finally cashed in his chips. So if you'll recall, he's given me a lot of cool stuff over the last couple of years. This is an authentic International Harvester lug wrench. So it's awesome I get to use this on the Farmall H. It's listing a wee bit to starboard. only carnage is a couple old rotten wooden ramps. So that's not bad. It's in here. Now I've got some jicky-jacking around to do to get the H over there and get the Ford out. So, yeah, plenty of room. Well, here we are. It's been a long time coming, but the old H is in the shop. And so now I'm gonna begin the long, tedious process of, we'll do some tear down, we'll do some assessment. The tear down, unfortunately, is gonna be kind of brutal because there's about a 1/2 inch thick of brush painted paint all over this thing, all the bolts, everything. So that's gonna be fun tearing this thing apart. But the only way you're gonna fix it is get it torn apart. So we're gonna start with an engine assessment, and then we'll just move on from there. I'll be compiling a list. I don't know if I'm gonna do a whiteboard or not. There's so many channels doing whiteboards, you know, I'll just work off a list and go from there. But part one, phase one of this is done. Got this thing wrestled into the shop, and of course, I've got to get, you know, all the wheels and tires and everything back off of it. I'm gonna have to either build some kind of a skid for it or get creative with cribbing, but I'll figure all that out as I go. The important thing is the truck fits in right beside it. And yeah, so with that, I'm gonna say thanks for watching and bye for now, and stay tuned for part 2 as we start diving into this good old Farmall H. See you in a bit.